Check 1, 2. Craig Simpson.
Hey, this is Greg Simpson on the 520 as always.
Over the target, people coming in hot, really, really hot.
Yeah, it's the hot zone.
Yeah, all right. Now it just sounds weird.
Does it sound good?
No. The hot zone. No, your audio is fine. You sound like you're on a phone.
Oh, okay. I'm actually in my pickup truck on the 520 in Seattle on the way home. There's plenty of traffic. I'm not going anywhere. So.
Am I having deja vu? Did we do another producer Doomcast with you on the highway there in your truck?
You did. Yeah, pretty much the same location. Yeah, around this time of day, you can usually find me here, hanging out with the team, barging our way across the pond. Yeah.
On his way to the Doomcast studios to be part of the Doom Nation, of course.
Yeah. I like to experience my Doom on the 520. It's actually just kind of makes it special for me.
I heard this. I think it was a golf expert. He was talking about the one of the opens, and he was he was doing an interview, and he crashed during the interview. So I was like, oh my god, yeah. So let's not do that.
No,
although we would get a lot of press for the show because everybody would be like, yeah, these idiots are doing a show, and then this guy just crashes on the 520. So that'd actually be good. Yeah. So go ahead and.
Yeah, I think if it was on the news and they actually showed like a helicopter pulling the truck out of the water,
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We should give people in the chat room. We should give them the opportunity to put in music or put in. The first time I've ever heard a real conversation on this show. I don't know if they're talking about this show or there.
A real conversation. Well, I guess this is a real conversation.
Maybe. But, probably not. They might be talking about the Doomcast. Eric Lovely on Charlie's show.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Being here in Seattle, whenever I hear the term conversation, it always pisses me off because it's usually somebody who wants to do something horrible.
Like take your guns away from you, man.
They take our guns away, pay people $15 an hour to do, work at McDonald's. I mean, you name it. Yeah, conversation, that's a bad word. We need to have a conversation. Oh, God. Just...
Yeah, when my mom would say that, it was never good. When your wife says it, we need to have a conversation. It's not good, usually.
Oh, we need to talk. Oh,
you always, God. It just elevates it to another level of seriousness. We've got to talk. We need to have a conversation. It's like, ooh, it's formal. Ooh.
You're like, oh my gosh, is there any way I can...
We're making a new rule today that you don't do this anymore. Or, you're out of line. Which isn't always a bad thing, but...
Oh, no. But if you can break the momentum in any way, like if you have some gasoline you can pour all over yourself and light yourself on fire, then run through a glass window, like a glass door or something, just to distract, that's what you want to do.
Right.
You can just, we need to talk. Oh, wait a second. What are you doing? I'm pouring gasoline on myself. I'm going to run through the glass door, Okay, we don't. All right.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So I was reading I've been reading The Hot Zone since, I've heard of it, but I've never read it. It's a book about Ebola. It's true. It's about a good number of cases that have broken out, a good number of kind of Ebola events, and I don't know why. I'm not afraid of Ebola per se. I just, like Charlie says, we're all going to die sometime. I'd rather not die of Ebola, but I don't think that I will. But just for fun,
if you're going to do it, you want to be one of the first people to die because then it's famous. Then you get some media attention. Otherwise, you're just one of the masses of people that died from the Ebola.
Yeah, strain of Ebola is actually named after you then. It's the Simpson strain. Oh, okay. Producer Craig.
Producer Craig. It was his handle. And now...
It's named after your Twitter. So, but I think the first case that people know about, or there probably were cases before, but one of the first recorded cases was in Germany. I think it was called like Marlboro, Germany, and
did they make cigarettes there?
That's what I think too. It sounds like Marlboro. It might be Marbo or something like that. It sounds like Marlboro, but it's Germany, and they were making like vaccinations or something, and they needed monkey livers to do it. And so from Africa, they were getting monkeys shipped, and uh, they're making lots of money shipping them monkeys, so they weren't supposed to ship them sick ones and this and that. But anyway, they sent them some sick ones, although they may not have really looked sick. But that's kind of where, as far as people know, I think it was back in the, I don't know, 40s or 50s, 60s, I forget. But they sent the monkeys over. They had Ebola. They started dying en route. They were dying in this big, spot where they kept all these thousands of monkeys. They had them by the thousand, and that's where supposedly it first jumped to a human. And the guy who cleaned the monkey cages and such died from it. And anyway, so the first, and that's called the Marlboro version. So there's 4 strains or
this
something like that.
This is called the hot zone.
The hot zone.
Ebola.
Yeah, and it's and there's 4 strains of Ebola. There might be more now, but so far, reading the book.
All right, this is what Wikipedia says about it. You can tell me if you think this is accurate. It's a best-selling 1994 nonfiction thriller by Richard Preston about the origins and incidents involving a viral hemorrhagic fever, particularly Ebola viruses and Marburg viruses, Marburg, the basis for the book. So coming from the Sudan, Marburg, Raven, and our I guess part of the biosafety level 4 agency. Dun, 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 dun. And of course, it breaks out in Central Africa. And I don't want to be the spoiler here, but it says that there's a primate quarantine facility in Reston, Virginia. The plot thickens.
Yeah, I'm only about a quarter of the way through it, but it's really, I wouldn't usually read it, but since there's so much Ebola in the news, and it really breaks down into how it, one thing it gets into is how you feel when you first get Ebola. You have a bad headache, then you have a bad headache in your temples, then your eyes hurt, and then your back hurts.
Whoa,
and
whoa.
Person,
I think I may have Ebola.
Seriously. It freaks me out now. Oh my God, I have a headache. This is the first sign of Ebola, And then your eyes get bloodshot. Your eyes start getting red, and then you'll have all the muscles in your body are aching, and then your face begins to sag because I guess they call it your fascia. It's kind of like the underneath your skin, kind of like your sort of a light web of sort of tendon that we have. I think it's called fascia or something like that. And that begins to disintegrate quickly. So your skin sags. And so a person, their face just sags off their skull kind of. And then they kind of lose their personality. They just stare. And then they start to vomit blood that has coagulated blood in it. So it's actually red and black blood. And because it's kind of blood clots and then arterial blood, which is red. So they start throwing up blood, and then they start getting nosebleeds with blood. Then their eyes and ears start bleeding, and this takes about 6 or 7 days to incubate, and then you die in about, I think, 3 to 4 days after that. But then right before you die, you start blasting blood out your ass, basically. And then you start to kind of hyperventilate, and because your blood is clotting, but it's like giving you a stroke, and it's kind of giving your whole body lacks of, I guess I call it infarctions might be the right word for your organs, where they're dying because they're liquefying, and they're also getting blood clots clogging the arteries. I mean, so this guy breaks down everybody in the book, in this incredibly grim but really well written detail of how you, from that first moment you don't feel good to your death. And he breaks down the death of a few people who got it. And one guy was in Africa, and he got it, and the doctors, he was somewhat remote, they didn't know what it was. They're like, well, you just look pretty bad, bro, so why don't you go to a major city where there's a better hospital? Here, we'll put you on a plane. Anyway, so the guy, he's barfing blood all the way in across Africa in this plane, gets to hospital, and then he's in a waiting room, and he starts, vomiting blood again. It's coming out of every orifice. He like poops blood all over the. I mean, it's like there's just blood on the walls.
Oh.
It's just crazy in this waiting room, and so then the doctor sees him because he collapsed in the he collapsed in the waiting room, kind of like with a like face down, with like he fell off the chair, his butt sticking in the air. There's like a blood fountain coming out of his ass, and the doctor ended up getting Ebola from him. The guy died. Yeah, that's your butt in the last hours of life. And so the doctor got it, but then the doctor actually he got Ebola, but he actually lived through it because it was like the Marlboro man. Marburg, yeah, the Marburg version is only like I think 1 in 4 people die.
It's almost too delicious to believe, my friend.
Oh, I know, and it's right out of the butt. It's wonderful, and so yeah. Anyhow, I was reading it.
Yeah, you know what? Here. I think we get the point.
Yeah, you get the point. Anyway,
here's what Stephen King said about it in reception in his blurb. Horror writer Stephen King called the first chapter, quote, "one of the most horrifying things I've ever read in my whole life," end quote. When asked whether any book, quote, "scared the pants off of you," television writer Suzanne Collins answered, "The Hot Zone" by Richard Preston. Just read it a few weeks ago. Still recovering. So it's pretty gross.
It's not a good audible book to go to sleep listening to. I had some really jacked up dreams. I will say that for sure. But you learn a lot of tips on how to avoid getting it, and so that's kind of why I'm getting it. Reading it is just to understand it, and like certain things I learned, like if there ever was an Ebola outbreak, one of the things that becomes really valuable is bleach. It can't live in bleach at all. And actually, the people who get like in their hazmat suits and they go and like clean up Ebola butt fountains and look for people who might have Ebola to tell them that they're quarantined and such, they actually when they get in the suit, like before they get out of the suit, they just spray it down with a mist of bleach actually, because Ebola can't live in bleach at all. So if you're a bit of a prepper and you're afraid of Ebola, having some bleach with bottle might actually become quite an item, actually.
Yeah, it's true. You definitely want bleach. Bleach is really handy when you have to clean up stuff like this. It's very handy to have.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how are things going over there? You got your bleach? You ready?
I've got a lot of bleach. We buy everything bulk. We're bulk buyers. Yeah, lots of bleach. Gotta have bleach. You just, in general, I think it's a great thing to have. You shouldn't drink it, but you can just put a drop of it in pretty much any water, and it's instantly potable. So, there's a lot of, if you store water, having bleach or having just, some Clorox and putting a drop of it in there can, keep you going for years upon years upon years upon years. And so, for survivalists, it's a no-brainer. Not the most healthy thing that you want to have regular exposure to, for sure, but yeah, in a pinch, that's the antiseptic of choice on the go.
It makes me wonder, does anybody who was not in the military use the word potable? That's a very military word.
I don't
potable.
know.
Is that water potable? I'm like, I guess it'll fit in a pot. I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of those words.
How you look at it?
I see it all the time on trucks, though. If you do or in construction work, or you look around, oh man, little Mr. Owen is not thrilled. He's been on the road all day long, so he's not a happy camper. Well, I'm waiting for Charlie here, so I've got everything kind of open and just hanging out in the middle of the room, just sitting here with my bongos, my microphone, hanging out, talking to you. About Ebola.
About Ebola.
About Ebola.